Alright, are we ready? Okay, let's go! It's February! Which means we finished January.
Yay!
Which, like, after 65 days of January, it's good to be here.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Welcome, February. We are filming this on the 1st.
Yeah.
So, woo. Black History Month still exists. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. All right.
There are no refreshments. Make your own.
So, today's video, we are going over our January book bingos.
Yeah.
And what we actually read and what we thought. And did we get a bingo? I don't know.
I kicked off with Daydream, the Maple Hills, the last of the Icebreaker series. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4, because like I just really enjoyed it. I really liked their relationship. I liked the way that she develops it. I also like the way that it's portrayed. And even though she like states in her opening comments of like, I know people want Henry to be neurodivergent, she's never going to say outright that he's neurodivergent, but he does display a lot of neurodivergent traits. She also doesn't feel like it's important for him to have a diagnosis story. She would rather it be a romance story for him to enjoy his life versus focus on the diagnosis. And I fully understand and support that because, like, while representation in disabilities is important, the whole point of representation is for them to see that they can live a normal life. So I fully support that perspective. While I understand there are plenty of people that want to see how people go through the diagnosis as an adult, I don't think this series is the place for that.
Okay. Okay.
Because all her other 2 books were romance, so it doesn't make sense to put like, hey, by the way, on top of your romance and everything else that we put on top of you, because they've already built Henry's story into the other books as well, in like bits and pieces. It feels like they would just be like piling on top of this boy, and he doesn't need that. But he also acknowledges that like he's always struggled with academics. He's always struggled with his brain. So it's almost, for me, it reads more of like he's been diagnosed. Which like you don't need to necessarily, you wouldn't have an adult diagnosis story at that point. I also feel like getting diagnosed in college, because where they all are, is very different.
Yes. Yeah.
Than,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
getting diagnosed as an actual adult, like living your life. Like for me, my ADHD diagnosis came at like 23, 24. And it was a very interesting journey compared to, I feel like, if I would have been diagnosed in high school or college.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was necessary. I still greatly enjoyed their romance. I greatly enjoyed the way everyone was portrayed. And there's people that say like it's not great writing, but it's true. It's proof that like writing can just be fun and enjoyable for that. But honestly, I find it to be good writing.
Okay.
It reads well. It's smooth, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I can keep reading and I don't get stuck and I don't want to put it down, then that to me is good writing. Now, is it, like classical English and like the next great American novel? No, probably not. But not every book has to be the next great American novel. The next book I read this summer, I kind of went out of order, in the sense of that I had intended to read this series in order, and I didn't do that. I also don't know that I need to read the series in order based on because I've read the first one and I now have read the third one. I don't feel like I needed to read them in order. And that is the Abby Jimenez collection. The collection that I read, I started with Part of Your World. Yeah, that's the first one. Thank you. I could not think of that word. I started reading them last year, but I read just for the summer this month. And I'm not remotely disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in Part of Your World either. Like I said, this month for me was a lot more quality over quantity. Like I said, I enjoyed everything that I read. This one, I think I gave it 4.5. And I think it's just because I wanted more. And not in the sense of like I just wanted more in the story. I wanted her to heal faster. I don't know, not necessarily faster. I wanted her to get out of her own way faster. Not necessarily heal. I felt like when she realized that that the healing needed to be done, she didn't necessarily need to do what she did, but I understand the perspective, but I don't feel like it was necessary.
Okay.
I do also wish that she had come to her senses about her mom a lot sooner. Truly and wholeheartedly, especially when, like, it's staring her blankly in the face. Her friends are telling her, like, you need to make healthier choices for yourself, even if it's family. And I think, like, for me, like, that was, one, really relevant, because that's something I did in the last part of 2024, really, is, like, draw healthy boundaries with family, and stand on them so they were respected. And I think that I wanted her to get there so much faster.
That's fine.
And I think it was a lot more drawn out than it needed to be. But I did like the parallel of her mother's story with her boss and all of that playing out in constant parallel. Like, everyone's healing and everyone's evolving, and it's not just you on this journey. But there were a lot of times that it felt like she was writing it as, like, it's just her. But I really did like it. I really, really enjoyed it. The mental health depiction, the growth in a relationship, the being able to grow as a person, as an individual. I really, really enjoyed this book, honestly. Like I said, I don't feel like you need to read them in order, but if you feel the need to, don't, truly, wholeheartedly. Honestly, I would read this and, like, feel satisfied. I do have her second book slated for February. Hopefully it hits the mark for me in terms of, like, I get to read it, as well as it actually hits what I expect, because I love Part of Your World and I've loved Just for the Summer, so I'm hoping that it lives up to expectations. All right, my last book was really my last book. I finished my Children of Blood and Bone series, and just in time because they just announced the cast for the film.
Ooh.
January 15th, 2027. But I am so hyped for the cast. If you are a Children of Blood and Bone person, let us know how you feel about the cast, because I am hype. Like, unmatched hype. And I really reached a frustration point for myself, because it's very heavy. If you have read Children of Blood and Bone and Virtue and Vengeance, and now Anguish and Anarchy, then you understand that the content is very, very heavy, and it's very based in realistic things that have gone on throughout history, but it also does fit with mythology, as well as just overall African culture. But, like, again, really, really love it. I know that some people have given the finale a rough blow, and I understand it. I understand their perspective. I still gave it a 4.25. So I would say it probably ranks similarly to Virtue and Vengeance for me. The reason being that I ranked it so high is I personally found the story very fulfilling. I found this to be a very beautiful end cap to it. And I'm sure there are people that don't enjoy it for many reasons. I was literally telling Katie the other night that I feel like there are plenty of people that had perspectives of how the story should have turned out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you get into the fantasy world, you always want it to end with this happily ever after and everyone gets what they want. You know, no more people have to die and they're able to save everyone and everything. And a lot does work out, but also a lot doesn't, which happens in realistic. When you think about the idea of battle and fantasy and war that goes into a lot of fantasy, you have to be very realistic in the idea that, yeah, it might work out, but you're gonna lose a couple of soldiers along the way. And I think that if you release that idea now, but ultimately I felt it was a very fulfilling ending. In my personal opinion, I cried at the end. I loved the ending. But I also went in with zero expectations of how she was going to end it. And I think that's because at the end of the second book, it is so, like, fade to black. And this picks up in a completely different place than where they ended the second book. That I was so open to whatever happened. Mm-hmm. And I will say that's the one thing I liked about the series most of all, is every single book was a complete fade to black. Where, like, it could have gone any direction. So I like that it got a little bit more vague to kind of create this release. Personally, for me, it was a release of, like, okay, well, what are my expectations for the ending? I have none. And I think if you went into the series, especially the last book in this collection, as with a la-di-da, here we go, what comes, comes, as long as we have some justice for Zele and her family, and there is some closure there for her and Inan, as well as her and Zayn and Amari, that I will be satisfied. But I think the idea of what closure is for everyone is a little bit different. And I think that's my perspective of closure was like, whatever works for them is what works. And they were written in this place that closure was fulfilling for them. Yeah, some of it hurt, but it was fulfilling for them. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not a 5-star like I gave the first book, but the first book was long. And there was a lot of world building, and it was very, very enrapturing. This one, it felt still enrapturing, but not like, I can't put this down.
Well, the first book that I read this year, in January, because both of
This month?
Yeah. Fell under a book by an author you've never read. And this was another book that I got in DC. 24 Seconds From Now. I
enjoyed that, didn't you?
I did really enjoy it. I gave this a 4.0 rating on Fable. I think it was very relatable.
Okay. I love that.
I like that it was all male perspective and male thoughts, because I feel like even though what I mostly read is females, I just feel like also the genre is female.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it was nice to get male perspective. Our next one was Shut Up, This Is Serious.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Which this one fit the prompt, a book written by an author from your state, because this was based in California. This was a teenage story in Oakland, California. Hispanic girls, and one of them gets pregnant. She's the classic like Catholic daughter, but then she gets pregnant. So it's one of those where it's like, you know, those times in high school where you are so caught up in your parents' lifestyle that you want to get away from. And while she has a really good boyfriend and like they're together during the whole thing, and they plan to still be together after giving birth, and the family does eventually come together, she does hide her pregnancy for a long time from her parents. And then also her boyfriend is black, which is not okay with her parents.
Dang. A lot happens.
So there's a lot happening in this book. A lot of mixing cultures and just pure even high school. And that's also just the best friend and boyfriend. The person the person talking is the best friend who's complete virgin, who wants to have sex and wants to experience what her best friend has.
That definitely sounds like up my alley.
I gave it a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. And then for my review, I said it could be very, very relatable and almost healing for those who have experienced the same situations. Okay. And the reason I said that was because of the culture and combining that and parents' expectations and all that jazz. So I feel like this could really hit home with a lot of people, either at high school age or our age, but this was their life.
Retrospective introspection work. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like, how can I heal so I'm better? Yeah. I get that.
Okay, so my next prompt that I worked on was a mystery. And for that one, I read Cream Puff Murder.
You're welcome.
This one, I rated a 3. I was battling between 2 and 3.
Wow, you never go 2.
I don't.
Spicy choice.
And it was literally the printing choice. I think that's what drives me crazy the most, because this author puts recipes.
Oh yeah, that did piss you off.
In the middle.
That did piss you off. I remember that.
Like, it's at the end of the chapter. It's not after every chapter, but the majority of chapters. So the chapter will end, and it'll be like, even more than they had. And then it'll be like, cream puff dessert, 600 grams of butter. And then like it just reads through an entire recipe, the ingredients, how to make it, the little like character notes, which I loved that aspect when you got the book for me. And I still like it. I just wish all of the recipes were at the end of the book. Because if I'm sitting down and I'm like reading to read, you completely cut the world every other chapter.
You interject.
I was done. Yeah. I was like, and then I would go into my audiobook because I was listening to it as well, and like just fast forward. And I did that so much by the end of it because I didn't care to learn how to make a cream pie in the middle of a murder. Like I just wanted to read about the murder, but then have the cool concept of this character making recipes that we get to make in person. Like I love that concept. I still like the concept. I just hate the way that they publish it and they put the recipes that have to do. But here's the thing. So the recipe that they put after the chapter has to do with what was being made or what they talked about making in that chapter. Okay. So like I get you. But for me, it just cut me out.
So I was gonna ask, like, with the recipe, are there like directions where like things are highlighted or underlined that like could give you clues for you to follow along and solve, or was it just like straight up, hey, here's a recipe?
Oh yeah, no, it's a straight up recipe with like we can go make this.
Oh.
Bet. But then yeah, like this cool, right?
Yeah.
But then like it'll be like Lisa, who is like the baker's assistant. So like it brings the character in, like Lisa would do this to make this much, or this is her favorite type of, ounces for Hershey's, so like it has little quirks that have to do with the characters, which is still so fun. I just like
it doesn't fit in the middle of a chapter. You can't. It's hard to story build and keep going when you're interjecting.
Yeah, and some of them had like 2 recipes, so it was like 8 pages of recipe, and I was like, oh my god.
I remember that we were watching I was watching a TV show, and you're like, I'm gonna read, and I was like, okay, and all of a sudden I just look over, and she's like, I'm like, are you reading? Like, what do you mean? She goes, it's a recipe. Like, okay, I don't know what you mean. It sounds great.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then let me read you my review that I put on Fable. I said this was my first book of the series, although it isn't the first book in general for the series. So like this author has written like 20 or like 27 bakery related murder books.
I forgot.
And while there is an order, you don't have to read them in order because they're all standalone stories. But it's the same Hannah, it's the same character that has to go solve all of these murders. And she's a baker.
Got it.
So,
like
now I can't tell you more than that because I didn't read the first book. I don't know, because she's not a detective. Like, she doesn't have 2 jobs.
She just happens upon them.
She's like employed by not employed, but like, she's like the favorite. If the police department can't figure it out, they go to her. She's like a local favorite. Who's like just good at solving murders.
Oh, so kind of like My Killer Vacation, but like she didn't ask for her help, she just did it anyway.
Yeah. But I think if I read the first book and like really got to know Hannah and her backstory, maybe I would have enjoyed this book or been able to get in deeper with this book.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's why I'm like, maybe it's better than I'm giving it, because I haven't read any of her other books or the first book to really get to know Hannah.
That's fair.
But also, you could just read this. Like, there's enough information that you could just read this book. So anyway, I also said I thought the story was only okay. I could not get into the characters, and I hated having the recipes placed between chapters. It took me right out of the story. So again, that's exactly what I just explained to you guys.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 3 because I just felt like 2 or 2.5, like anything with 2.5, 2.75, any of that felt a little harsh, because like I still liked the story.
That's fair.
and like the murder was still interesting and intriguing, and the murderer was like very random,
Okay.
which like sometimes is really good, is really cool because like it's no one that you were expecting.
Mhm.
It was just like a character like thrown in at the end, and you're like, okay then. But anyway, that's enough on that book. So I feel like I've gone on way too long about this book. Okay, so then my next spot that I've read is my free spot.
Did you read for it?
No, I just marked it.
Well, no, because I know that you had debated reading for
Yeah.
it, so I was genuinely asking, did you end up reading for
No,
it?
I don't have a book for that. But I guess technically I kind of do because of my one that's up there.
That's fair.
So, yes, yes
it's
and
funny 'cause
no.
it's in the same line as your free spot.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. So I'm like, yeah, yes and no. I did kind of read. Because my first book is not within my bingo. It's above my bingo, so it could count as my free spot.
Yeah.
But I digress. Oh, yeah. So the next one I read was a book set in the mountains. This one was like kind of a stretch because like it's like mountainy wilderness in the background. So I thought the setting might involve some type of mountain.
Does it?
Huh?
Does it?
I mean, I'd say it was more like they were describing like the lake scene.
Okay.
So like there was definitely like outdoorsy spots, and it was like rural. What was it? Oregon, I think. Yeah, Oregon. So like I don't know if you would call it like a mountain.
But there's mountains in the area.
Yeah, there's mountains in the area.
Well, we even said that
So yeah, so I said that to begin with. I gave this a 3.75 on Fable. Others I did. So for this one, I thought it was really good. It left me wanting more.
In what way?
Like, I didn't think
More of the story or more from the character?
more of the story.
Okay.
Like, I feel like where it ended, and I don't, maybe it's set up for another book, or maybe there already is one. I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
But I feel like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I just feel like it was just getting started. I'll say it that way. So like,
Oh no, it's definitely
maybe,
standalone.
and like, so maybe it's on me too, because I went in thinking like where the book was gonna start was actually where it ended. Kind of vibes.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, that is definitely a standalone.
Yeah. Which I thought. I thought it was. But so again, that's my only thing is I want more.
That's
Which
fair.
isn't a bad thing. I want more out of it. It is a very relatable book for one girl solid in her sexuality, and another girl being like, what is this? Yeah. Because she's like, is it just you? Or like, am I changing? Because all I have ever been with is boys. And then also trying to get over that with her parents and her friend group and all of that. And you can probably assume what the ending is. But
So it was a lot more like development.
it was development, which is great. It was character development. It was relatable development. Yeah.
But if you were thinking it was something different, then it's hard to sometimes release that.
Yeah. So, and we love Hayley Kiyoko. So, this was her book.
Slay.
Alright, and then the last book that I read of January was hers, yeah. A book with snow on the cover. So I read The Holiday Switch.
Which is a fun one.
It is fun. I gave this a 3.75. So I said it was a super cute holiday read. Also involves parent-child relationship and expectations. Maybe more relatable to some than others. So yes, like I said.
I gave that 4.
Yeah.
I did give.
I did really enjoy it. It's, high school relationships, holiday vibes. You got the snow, you got the snowstorm that keeps them in at one point. But then you also have the girl who, the main character, more of her parent expectations than the boy. But even that boy, they touch on of the expectations that he felt he had, and how they both could relate because they were both trying to be people they weren't or felt like they had to hide. More so in their activities and not like the book I just read. Yeah.
Not identity.
Not identity.
More in. I think the best way is like they're learning themselves because like they're preparing to get ready for college. They're learning who they are as a person, as an individual, and they're trying to figure out their limits as a child still, and like still be respectful to their parents and their family. I feel like that's the best way to explain that.
Yeah, but they're like high school seniors.
Yeah, so like they're gonna push.
One is, and one's freshman in college.
Yeah. So like they're gonna push boundaries. They're gonna test their limits, but also as you know, if you understand like the coming of age experience, and like you are gonna still have the parent and like that parent over factor of it's just like, what you doing?
Yeah.
That's a choice. But like, I mean, even still, I was like, we're in our late 20s, early 30s, and we still have our parents are like, okay, proud of you.
But also, like for her, she also had that on her.
Yeah.
She had that in her mindset of, like, I will disappoint them if they find this out.
Yeah.
And we love the ending.
It's a cutesy.
It's cute.
It's a cute, quick holiday read.
Yeah.
And even post-holiday, like if you just want something fun.
Yeah,
and,
I read it in January. So
like, well, yeah, because like it's not specifically like Christmas. Like it is. It takes place around Christmas time.
Yeah, it's dated. The chapters are dated.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but like
most of them.
Some of them are dated. Yeah, like
right into New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve.
Yeah. It goes for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's Christmas. It's winter break for college, basically.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and like I think it wraps up in the earliest days of January. So like it's not bad if you choose to read it in post time. Like I said, it's just a fun holiday read.
And with that means I have hit a bingo for January.
That's a book you can buy.
Ooh, how exciting. Let me know if you guys have read any of the books that we read this month. Your thoughts. Do you agree? Do we got the same amount of ratings as you guys? Are you excited for the new movie?
I'm so excited.
Did you read the last book?
She wasn't asking you. She's asking me at this point. No. Nah. But truthfully, guys, if you have read any of them, I know like most of my books are pretty much new releases, so definitely share your thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
And I know hers are a little off the wall ones, so again, if you found any of them and you've read any of them, also share your thoughts and opinions, because like we love a good off the wall review.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I guess we'll see you next time.
Yes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Share.
Catch us for share. Let us know your favorite book YouTubers that you guys watch.
And your current read.
Yes, I love it. Comment below your current read.
Yeah.
And until, February?
Yeah, February's recap.
Right? This is January recap. So until February recap, we will see you guys later. Bye!